Who is Melchizedek? In the Bible, we are presented with a mysterious figure as Melchizedek. We're told that he had no beginning, he had no father, he had no mother, he had no genealogy. He just appeared from nowhere, collected tithe from Abraham, and blessed Abraham, and bingo, he's gone. And then we're told in Hebrews and also in Psalm that the priesthood and the kingship of Jesus Christ is likened after his order. Okay? A man that has no father, no mother, just came from the thin air. So who is this mysterious figure called Melchizedek? For us to get that clearly, let's first clarify one or two things. In the pre-Abrahamic or pre-Mosaic era, that is before Abraham and then before Moses, the commoners had no form of writing. There were no records being kept by the commoners. At best, we have inscriptions on stones, but at most don't have any form of writing. Most information, culture, tradition were passed down to the next generation orally. Okay? But amongst the elites, the royals in the palaces, there were a form of record keeping. There was some communication between kings and kings. But before the majority of the commoners, there were no form of writing. People were illiterate. Secondly, the oral traditions of the Hebrews, that is, the descendants of Abraham, found its way into part of the literature, the history recorded in the Bible. Quite a number of things that we read in the Bible, quite a number of references were actually infusion of the oral tradition of the Jewish people. That is not to say that they are not spiritual. God uses a lot of things to speak to us, but that does not remove the fact that there were inclusion of the Jewish oral tradition in the form of stories, in the form of proverbs, in the form of songs and history. Let's now go to the fact behind the mysterious figure called Melchizedek in the Bible. The first thing to know about Melchizedek is that truly Melchizedek was a king. Before the time of Moses, especially in the pre-Abrahamic era, the city called Jerusalem wasn't called Jerusalem. It was initially called Urushalem. Now, this ancient city called Jerusalem, the precursor of Jerusalem, was ruled by a king. The oral tradition of the Jewish people on Melchizedek revolves around that king. Now, who is this king? In the Tel El Amarna letters, there is a king in Jerusalem who wrote to his lord, the king of ancient Egypt. That king explained to his lord, the king of Egypt, that his position as king of Jerusalem was not by lineage. That didn't come from father, it didn't come from mother, it didn't come from ancestry. It came by appointment. Now, over time, the oral tradition of the Jewish people interpreted that letter, because it was a letter that its content was passed from mouth to mouth, from word of mouth to word of mouth. The Jewish tradition, oral tradition, translated or interpreted that letter over time to mean that this king of Jerusalem had no beginning, had no end. Rather, he had no parents, he had no father, he had no mother. He came from nowhere. And in actual fact, that king historically was not from Jerusalem. He was appointed as king of Jerusalem. Even the citizens of Jerusalem did not know where he came from. But he was given reference and homage and respect to the king of Egypt, ancient Egypt, who appointed him as king of Jerusalem. Secondly, the Bible also called him the Prince of Salem. Yes, the Prince of the Most High. If you follow my teaching on the real name of God, the word interpreted the prince, the priest of the Most High, which Paul made reference to in Hebrews chapter 7, is actually the Prince of El Elyon. Now, in Jerusalem, the supreme deity being worshipped then is called the Most High, which is the English word for the Hebrew El Elyon. Now, the king we're referring to, the king of Jerusalem at this time, was the king, but was also the priest, which was common in those days. You remember that even Abraham is also carried the responsibility of a priest. Right? Made sacrifices, etc. So it was common in those early days for somebody to be a priest, just like the chief priest, and also has political control over the subject, which was common in those days. So this Jerusalem king was the one administering social justice and life, appointed by Pharaoh, and was also the priest carrying sacrifices and the spiritual responsibility over the subject. Now, whenever any reference is being made to something that is everlasting, something that has no beginning, Melchizedek is always made use as an illustration. Because orally among the Jewish people, Melchizedek is a mysterious figure. So when Abraham went to battle with the kings and won, he actually met the king on the way physically. Now, the mysterious thing was that Abraham gave tithe to him. It was the order of the day because the environment where Abraham lived was part of the territory of Jerusalem, which the so-called Melchizedek ruled over. Now, when Psalm 110 was making reference to this, he was also making reference to the oral tradition. When Paul quoted from both Psalm and Genesis, they were also making reference to the oral tradition of the Jewish people. That is why, if you notice, Paul did not say that the priesthood of Jesus Christ came from Melchizedek. He says that it's after the order, that is likened to this mysterious figure. So Paul was saying that the order of Jesus Christ, the order Paul was saying here is that Christ is not just king, he's also a priest. Even though he's not from a Levitical lineage, he's a priest, like, that is in the order of Melchizedek, the mysterious figure. To the Jewish people, Melchizedek is mysterious. He has no beginning, he has no end. Okay, so the priesthood of Jesus Christ and the kingship of Jesus Christ, which merge together in one person, is like that of this mysterious figure Melchizedek, that we don't know the beginning. So the Christ own doesn't have a beginning. We don't know the end. Christ own doesn't have an end. The key word here is likened to the order. Okay, so Melchizedek isn't Jesus Christ. Melchizedek was a man. Melchizedek was a king. Melchizedek was a priest. Okay, but Jesus Christ came in the form of man. Okay. That's the mystery behind Melchizedek. Let me summarize it for you again. The person known as Melchizedek was a king of Jerusalem, who was also the priest of El Elyon, the supreme deity in the city of Jerusalem that later became Jerusalem. All right, I hope you enjoyed it.